This morning I'm thinking about Genesis chapter 3, verse 16, the consequence, um, the consequence upon the woman for her sin in the Garden of Eden. Now, this verse probably one of the more controversial to talk about in our day just because of all the implications. One implication, since her pain was increased during childbearing, it means there was some discomfort when she bore children before the fall in a prelapsarian world. That idea alone is not the norm, because most people seem to think that Eve was not having children before the fall. The other controversial idea in Genesis chapter 3, verse 16 is, as a result of the fall, her desire would be for her husband. She would desire to have her husband's role. Her desire would be for her husband, and her husband would rule over her or lord his authority over her. This is not prescriptive. God is not saying here, I am creating an environment where your husband will lord his authority over you and you will desire freedom from him. That's not what's going on here. It's descriptive. This is a passive result of our unrighteous nature, human depravity, especially the depravity of the woman. And I haven't looked at the consequence of the man yet, because I just got through verse 16. But it's like, as a result of the fall and her unrighteous nature, now the woman desires to take the role of her husband in the household, has this very non-submissive attitude, and that non-submissive attitude actually leads to problems in the home. You think about marital problems that people experience today. One of the causes of those marital problems is that the woman really does desire to have the role of her husband, and that kind of forces the husband into a position of trying to lord his authority. So when you're counseling couples who are having marriage problems, it's like that's where it comes from. Moses predicted that. God predicted that all the way back in Genesis 3, and he was not wrong. All the problems that we see in our households and in our churches and in our nations can be traced back to this moment and these consequences, the consequences of human sin and the outworking of human unrighteousness, which is part of who we are. We want to usurp the roles that God has given us, because we want to fulfill our own desires, which is unhealthy. And then we force other people to fight back. We back people into corners, and all of a sudden men are lording their authority over women, which is not okay. Sin is the source of all of our problems in the household, in our schools, in our churches, and in our nations. Genesis 3 really makes light of all that.